Hi guys, it's Emily, and today I wanted to sit down and chat with you guys about some of the K-dramas and other Asian dramas I had a chance to watch last year in 2017. So this is primarily a K-pop channel where I do a lot of videos regarding my K-pop collection, but for some of you who do not know, K-dramas and other Asian dramas were actually my gateway into K-pop. And I still am very active in watching dramas, and I do try to watch a few newly aired dramas when I can. In 2017, I found myself watching a lot more currently airing dramas. So I guess years before I was always kind of playing catch up because there are just so many dramas out there, and it's really hard to keep up. But I'm going to pull up some stats here on my phone, but I watched a total of 20 dramas last year, which was quite a lot for me. And of those 20, 9 of them were K-dramas, and then 1 of them was a web drama that was Korean, and I had 4 C-dramas that I finished, 5 Thai dramas, and then 1 just other non-Asian drama. So those 20 dramas are ones that I finished in 2017. So I'm still watching some that aired, that I started in the end of 2017 that I'm still watching now. I'll go into this towards the end of this video. And there are a few dramas that finished in 2017 but started in 2016. So I'm actually going to talk about those first before I get into my favorites that aired and I guess ended in 2017. So the first drama I want to discuss today, just briefly, is Goblin. And Goblin was probably the most iconic drama to come out last year, both for Korean audiences and international audiences. And just briefly, the synopsis is you have this male immortal figure who has lived for so long and has found himself in modern day, and he's just waiting for his bride to appear. And so this bride is supposed to help him, or I guess relieve him of this immortality curse so that he could finally rest in peace. And this is a romantic drama, or I guess a romantic fantasy drama. It does take place in modern day, and I do like how they approached the romantic relationship here, because there is an age difference, a very big age difference. It's sort of like Twilight, where you have this kind of immortal figure that's lived for so long and then this teenage girl that appears. But I think Goblin did a much better take than Twilight ever did on that genre. But as far as what stole the show was definitely the romance between the 2 male characters. I thought their interactions were just what kind of kept me really engaged in the show, more so than the main romance plot. I would say the biggest flaw was it kind of, it sort of relied on some plot devices that I've just found so overused, especially in K-dramas, and that's where where the lead character just makes assumptions that if he were to do this sort of thing, it would just be better for the female character, and just take those decisions and choices into their own hands because they think, I guess, they know better or something. I don't know. But I've always just found those plot devices very annoying and overused. So I was a little disappointed that Goblin did that, but overall, I would say Goblin is definitely worth watching, if not just for the romance alone. And then the other drama that I finished up in 2017 that technically aired in 2016 for the most part was Weightlifting Fairy Kimbokju. So I love this drama. This is one of my all-time favorites, probably within my top 10 for sure, as far as K-dramas go. And whenever there's someone who asks me for recommendations to get into K-dramas, especially if they've never seen one before, this is one of my go-to recommendations because it's very lighthearted, and when you just watch it, you just feel all kind of warm, and you have all those warm and fuzzy feelings, and it's just, I think, very easy to watch. And doesn't have a lot of heavy topics that it tries to approach. But what really makes it unique is, I think, the characters. So it's a very character-driven drama. You have this unconventional female lead who happens to be a collegiate female weightlifter. And so you're kind of just following her journey and trying to be accomplished in her field, which is, of course, very masculine, while balancing it with some other more everyday complications, mostly romantic relationships. And I just felt her relationship with the male lead was just very sweet, and it was just a treat to watch those two interact. So I highly recommend it if you haven't watched it yet and you're looking for something that's very lighthearted and will just kind of make you, I guess, feel good while watching it. Alright, so before I get into my top 7 dramas from last year, I briefly want to talk about 2 dramas that were huge disappointments for me. So the first disappointment I want to talk about is Bride of Havoc, which the male lead from Weightlifting Fairy Kim Bok-joo was starring in. And also Crystal from FX was also going to be in it. And so this drama is another sort of fantasy romance, if you will, that takes place in modern day. And when it comes to plot, honestly, there wasn't a plot. I would say this drama was the definition of lack of a plot, which I thought was very disappointing. And the characters just didn't really grow, I think, as the series progressed. It was just very lackluster, I think, the drama. And I know this is based off of a manhwa, which I heard was very good. And most people were very disappointed with how the drama ended up being, which was too bad. The other disappointing drama from last year was Suspicious Partner. And I started watching this because of Ji Chang-wook, JCW, is an actor that I adore. I really liked him in Healer in particular. So I was really anticipating this. And so this has some mystery between lawyers. And they kind of get wrapped up in some murder allegations. And the first, I want to say, maybe the first 1/4 was really good. I really enjoyed how the characters are developed, how the plot was progressing. It was very engaging. And eventually, when the romance started happening, I thought the chemistry between JCW and the female lead was excellent. Some of the best on-screen chemistry I think I've seen in a K-drama. But after maybe the first half, I feel like the writers didn't know how to progress the plot at all. So they sort of just ended the main story arc and just continued going, which it didn't really go anywhere, which I guess was the biggest disappointment. And honestly, I haven't finished this drama. I think I still technically have 2 episodes left, which I plan to finish someday, just to finish it, because I am a bit of a completionist. But as of now, I don't really have an interest to watch it, despite how much I really enjoyed JCW, and I thought the female lead and the second male lead are also very, very interesting. Alright, so now finally onto my top 7 list. I'm going to just do, I guess, a countdown. So I'm going to start with number 7. Is Stranger, which is also known as, which also goes by Forest of Secrets. So this is a crime thriller K-drama that was very engaging, and I know a lot of people thought that this is probably one of the best dramas to have come out last year. I thought this was done very well, and you have this emotionless protagonist that isn't like those emotionless protagonists we've seen from other shows that honestly don't seem very realistic. But this one had a sense of realism that I think really sold in this K-drama. And so this emotionless protagonist, who happens to be an attorney, teams up with this female cop, and they're trying to solve a murder that happened and deal with all the sort of dark political underworld that's going on behind the scenes. And the story was very good. I think a lot of people enjoyed this drama in particular because it was a little unpredictable. I don't know if I found it completely unpredictable. Some of it, like, I don't think I was as wowed maybe as some people were, but I still really enjoyed this drama. It was very engaging, but I didn't feel a need to binge it. But maybe that was one of the perks for some people. A lot of times I sort of measure my level of enjoyment by how much I want to binge the drama. So I didn't really feel drawn to binge this drama. So at number 6 I have Mad Dog. And I was really anticipating this drama, mostly because Woo Do-hyun was starring in it. And he's this rookie actor who started acting last year, and I really enjoyed him in a drama I'm going to be talking about soon. The plot for Mad Dog was you have this team of people who look for insurance fraud, and their main goal is to try to solve what went wrong for these insurance claims regarding a flight crash that happened, and which killed the main protagonist's family. It was very slick too, how they filmed it and edited it. So first half I thought was excellent, and then it started going slightly downhill. It was still enjoyable, I think, at the end, but you can't help after watching it thinking that it could have been better. And they did sort of push this romance to happen between two of these characters that I thought was unnecessary. But usually with K-dramas, there's always some romantic element that needs to play out. So I kind of forgave it for that, especially when they didn't really make it the focus, which was okay. But overall, I thought it was a fun ride to watch, and I do look forward to more Woo Do-hyun stuff. I'm really interested to see how where he goes next in the acting scene. So at number 5, I have Strong Woman Do Bong-soo, listed as one of my favorite dramas from last year. And so this was a very cute drama. I actually watched this right after finishing Weightlifting Fairy Kim Bok-ju, and there are some very similar aspects to those two dramas. So you have two strong female leads. One was strong because she was a weightlifter and a collegiate athlete, but in the Strong Woman Dong Bong-soo, she's strong because she inherited this magical ability from her family's female side. And what was, I think, nice about Strong Woman Dong Bong-soo was it didn't really take itself too seriously. You had some very quirky characters that had this, and you had the female protagonist sort of a bit of a contradiction. So she's this very like physically strong woman who is this dainty, petite young female who tries to act sweet, I guess maybe to counterbalance how physically strong she is. And in comes this handsome CEO who Park Hyun-sik plays. And he's drawn by her both because of her physical strength and also because of her personality. For the most part, I really just enjoyed the two characters' interaction, though I did have some problems a bit with Park Hyun-sik's character, but that's not uncommon. I feel like when you have this rich CEO character, they tend to be a bit strong-handed, if you will, especially over women, which I don't find very appealing. But for the most part, I thought their interactions are very cute. Unrealistic, but very cute. And there's that kind of quirky humor that I found refreshing and fun and lighthearted, so it was very easy to watch. Moving on to number 4, I have Save Me as my next favorite drama that aired last year. And I will again admit I watched this because it starred Taecyeon, and so this was his role right before he enlisted in the military. And honestly, I probably would have watched this even if Taecyeon wasn't in it, because I'm really drawn to more darker storylines, and this one seems very controversial in that the plot was dealing with this teenage girl who gets somehow sucked into this religious cult that she doesn't want to be a part of, but she's kind of she has to kind of remain in there because of how it's captured and sucked in her family. So she asks her friends, so this gang of guys that Taecyeon's a part of, to help save her and her family. And honestly, when I was watching this when it was airing, I watched the first 2 episodes, but I had to stop. It was such a heavy topic, and just seeing how this religious cult operated and just all the mind games that were going on, it was just very unsettling to watch. So I had to give it a short little break after finishing those first two episodes. But then when I picked it up again, I watched it so fast. It was very engrossing. It was still very heavy, but I think the first 2 episodes you were dealing with the girl when she was in high school as a teenager, so I think those elements were a bit harder to watch in the earlier episodes, but it got a little bit easier to watch, I guess, when it fast forward a few years, when all the characters were older. And I really enjoyed all the characters here, even the bad guys. I thought they did a great job, and the cult leader was very scary, I will admit. But Taecyeon with his gang of friends, I thought were very charming. This also had Woo Do-hyun, who was in Mad Dog, that I referenced before. He did an excellent performance, I thought. Taecyeon, I thought, did a pretty good job, but he's sort of typecast into the same role. He plays this character that tries to do the right thing. So it was nothing new from Taecyeon, but I thought all the other characters were very interesting. And so the female lead, I thought her acting was very haunting, especially given the circumstances of her character and trying to survive this religious cult without getting too sucked in. And so at number 3 is Circle. So Circle was such a pleasant surprise. This was it's almost like a post-apocalyptic futuristic drama, but the cool thing about Circle is that there's 2 different timelines that they show. So the first half of the drama, they show the modern day setting of what's happening before things change in the future. After the first half of an episode, they then switch over into the future timeline where things are much different, and the world we know today no longer exists. And you have, in this futuristic setting, this sort of utopia where people have ways to repress and stabilize their emotions through an inserted chip that they have, a chip that they have inserted into their body. And this sort of going back and forth between these two timelines to see how the modern world will become this very scary utopia that definitely is not a utopia. It has its own problems. Was very interesting. And there's some other sci-fi elements that somehow is inserted into the change of the modern day to the future world. It was very interesting, and this drama I definitely watched really quickly. I think this was probably, out of all the dramas I watched, this is one of the ones I binged the fastest. It was really, I was very impressed by this drama, and it's one I would definitely recommend if you enjoy sci-fi elements, and it was just very refreshing to see how they kind of told the story in that way, because I don't think I've seen a show that did that sort of timeline effect in that same way as Circle did. And I'm looking forward to a season 2 if they do one. They sort of, at the end, they left it as an option, so I'm really hoping that this will become a season 2. Okay. Next up is number 2. So number 2 is Chief Kim, which also goes by the name The Good Manager. And I'll again admit I watched this because of a 2 p.m. member, and this one was Junho. So of course I had to watch this, but honestly this was just, I think, a drama that deserved the hype it got in Korea. But overall this drama was very unexpected for me to really enjoy as much as I did. And that's mostly, I think, through the characters. So in this drama, it's an office drama, but you have these quirky and just overall kind of wacky characters that are inserted into this office setting. And in particular, you have Chief Kim here. He was an accountant, I believe, working for some not so legit businesses. But he somehow gets a job into this big corporate company as a manager. And he was sort of placed there on purpose. And once learning what his purpose was supposed to be, he decides to kind of combat what the head honchos of this company were trying to do. And instead of doing sort of what he's been known to do, some underhanded illegal things, he's trying to do something right and fix things in this company. And this this drama was hilarious. I really liked its quirky sense of humor. It's almost kind of like Strong Woman Dongwon-soo humor, where it's just kind of ridiculous but fun at the same time. But this drama also just had a lot of dark elements in it too, which that sort of dichotomy between fun, quirky humor, but then you have this darkness in the plot. I just found that those two things squeezed together just really interesting. And this just, again, this is just a very character-driven drama that you can't help but root for. And Junho, this was sort of his breakout role, which was very exciting to watch for me personally, being a big Junho stan. But he played sort of the villain, known as the gluttonous sociopath. But he did a great job, and his kind of friend enemies bromance with the lead character Nam Gongmin was playing. was just very entertaining for me to watch, and they actually won one of the Best Couple Awards at the KBS Drama Awards, which was great, and Junho also won an Excellence Acting Award for this role. So this drama is definitely one to watch if you want something entertaining to watch. It's not romance focused at all. It didn't really need that romance plot to sell it, honestly. And overall, it was just very enjoyable to watch, and I highly recommend it if you want something a little bit different from what most dramas are doing presently. Alright, so those first 6 were all K-dramas that I enjoyed, but my favorite drama at number 1 is actually not a K-drama. It is a Chinese drama. And before I get into what that drama is, a little backstory. I've always had a very negative association with Chinese dramas for some reason. I think I've tried so many, but either the character development or the plot line or something just never really worked for me. And I guess I was very pleasantly surprised when I started watching the drama at number 1, which is called Eternal Love, also known as The Eternal 10 Miles of Peach Blossoms. And so I loved this drama. I was just taken away by it. I didn't watch it while it was airing. I watched it after seeing some good reviews on my drama list, but the fantasy I thought was really interesting. I'm often very disappointed with fantasy on the screen, so either on TV shows or on movies. And this is just in general. This is in the West, in Asia, wherever. Usually these fantasies that I'm so used to reading in fiction or novels that are really colorful and engaging just don't translate well to the screen. But I found did achieve this a lot better than most Western attempts, in my opinion. So in this epic fantasy, you have the lead protagonist is this female kitsune, or this fox goddess, and she's very mischievous and has somehow enrolled herself, disguised as a man, into this other god's kind of school of learning, where they practice a lot of martial arts and other ways to kind of build their power. And there's some tragic events that happen where you have some loss of memory that happens, and I don't want to spoil this at all, because honestly you have to kind of watch all of it, and you'll definitely be, I think, engaged if you give this a try, at least for a couple episodes. But all the characters I thought were great. Maybe the lead male was a bit too passive in a way, or maybe passive is not the right word. He was very strong. Like, I feel like, again, to stereotype Chinese dramas, I feel like the male leads often are supposed to be these very strong figures who are supposed to support all the other characters and just carry the burden without any flaws. So this one I thought did have flaws, but his personality, I think, could have been more interesting. But regardless, that was just a very minor nitpicky flaw that I had with this drama. But overall, this is a drama that definitely changed my opinion on C-dramas. And so I think instead of trying to watch modern day Chinese dramas, I'm now going to be watching just historical Chinese dramas, because I think those ones are much more powerful than some of the modern day ones I've attempted to watch personally. Some non-2017 dramas that I really enjoyed watching was Nirvana and Fire. So this is one of the quintessential epic historical Chinese dramas out there that is definitely, it deserves the very high rating it has on my drama list for a reason, in my opinion. Acting was great. I really liked the romance that was very subtle but very effective, and I think season 2 is airing right now, and I haven't started it, but I heard season 2 was a little disappointing, especially when you compare it to season 1, which I loved. So I think I'm gonna hold off until it's over before seeing if I want to dive in or not. Another drama that I watched last year, but it didn't air last year, was Signal. So this is a really interesting cop mystery show, and the interesting part of it was that it sort of had this time travel element, but it was through a radio. So these modern day detectives were contacting a cop from the past in regards to a cold case that they were working on in the present. And it was really, really well done. This is another really well-regarded drama that is at the top of my drama list, top shows list. And I thought that there was, the acting was great. There wasn't any romance, which was fine. Again, I don't think every drama needs to have some romance thrown in there, especially if it doesn't really make much sense to add it in. And I think there's a reason why it's one of the top rated shows on my drama list. So definitely check it out if that sounds interesting to you. Another one I watched last year was Shopping King Louie. So I watched this at the beginning of last year, so right after Goblin and Weightlifting Fairy Kim Bok-ju. And so I was just really in the mood for something light and fluffy. And Shopping King Louie definitely met that. So this stars Seung-gook, who is another actor I really enjoy. And he was just, I thought, perfect for the role. He did a really great job pulling off this very, it was kind of like an immature character, but he wasn't annoying. Like, I thought, played it so that you wouldn't get so distracted by what his character could have been like. So I found that very commendable, and that the character he was playing didn't put me off. So I thought the plot was fine. It wasn't anything too interesting, really. But I was still just engaged and enjoyed the ride. It was just something very sweet, and it fits the bill for what I was in the mood for. Moving on to another Chinese drama that I did try watching. So this was before I watched The Eternal Love, which broke all of my preconceived notions regarding Chinese dramas. But I was watching this because it starred Yang Yang, who is a very attractive actor, but I liked the idea of it. It's a romance genre taking place in modern day, but it's through MMOs. So the characters play this massive RPG game, and I liked kind of the CGI elements where you could see each player's character and kind of the game setting. And so that was really kind of cool. And I did enjoy that part of it. However, I felt like this drama was kind of meeting the stereotypes that I usually associate with Chinese dramas, and that the male lead was too perfect and the lead female was just too submissive. So that's why it wasn't really a groundbreaking drama for me, but I still enjoyed watching it, mostly for the plot and how they approached integrating an MMO into drama form. So that was kind of cool. And they also made a movie form that's much shorter, of course, and enjoyable as well. But I think I enjoyed the drama more. Well, in a way, maybe I enjoyed the movie version more because it was shorter and didn't drag on so much. So the flaws with the characters weren't as abrasive to me. And now for my bonus section. So I really like boys love dramas, or BL dramas for short. This past year had quite a few of them. So I know BL's not for everyone, but it's one of my, I guess, guilty pleasures. they're a lot of fun, and I think Thailand especially has put out a lot of great ones that are a lot of fun to watch. And so my favorite one that came out last year is called Two Moons, which is a Thailand BL drama, and it was it didn't kind of deal with the normal like homophobic sort of plot devices that a lot of BL does go into, and I found it kind of refreshing. These two guys were trying to somehow, I guess, court each other in a way. It was cute, and it takes place in a college setting, which I always kind of like. I prefer college setting dramas to high school dramas, of course, because I can relate to them more. And the characters don't have that immaturity that they have to, I guess, grow through. And so that was a lot of fun, and I just really enjoyed the two male leads' banter, back and forth interactions. So enough for BL dramas. One of the last things I wanted to talk about were dramas that I'm currently watching that are in progress, that did begin in 2017, but have not finished airing yet. The first one is Rain or Shine, also known as Just Between Lovers, and I of course am watching this because I love Lee Jun-ho, if you did not know. But this is his first male lead role, where he is the first male lead, and I really adore this drama. I'm currently up to episode 12 out of 16. So a little synopsis about this drama. So there was this devastating mall collapse that happened between a lot of the characters that, basically all the characters that are in this drama. So either they had loved ones who had died in that event, or they themselves were there when the mall did collapse. Fast forward 10 or so years later, these characters come together, and they're all still not over the events that happened when the mall collapsed. So together they have to kind of get deal with all the grief and the stress that the mall collapse happened on their lives, and get past it and start healing. So it's a really beautiful drama. Honestly, it's very slow moving, but I think that just kind of adds to the realism that's happening in the drama, and that just has been so refreshing for me. I just adore how we kind of just see how the trauma that these characters have. The actors are doing a great job displaying these traumatized feelings that they have, and the steps that they're trying to do to get past those traumas. And there is romance in it, which I've been thoroughly enjoying, to be honest. But I think just all the relationships, whether it's a family relationship, a friend relationship, or romantic relationship, it's just been really engaging for me to watch. So I can't recommend this drama enough, especially if you really like melodramas and you like kind of somber, melancholy sort of things. But it does have its kind of ups and downs, so there's a bit of an emotional roller coaster that's going on, but it's not as in your face like a lot of melodramas trying to make it. So like Innocent Man is probably one of my favorite dramas of all time, but that was such a ridiculous drama in that they just had all these things thrown at you, and it just took you on this really rocky up roller coaster. And this one is much more, it's a slower ride. So this is from the same director actually as The Innocent Man. But it's a slower roller coaster ride, but it's equally, or even more so sometimes, I think, engaging. So definitely check it out if you haven't yet. and Junho and the lead female I think are doing wonderful jobs. So that was it for dramas that I've watched from last year. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I tried to not say any spoilers or anything because I personally hate spoilers, so I didn't want to give you guys any spoilers. So let me know if you guys have seen any of these dramas and what some of your thoughts were regarding them, and if there was a drama that I didn't mention here that you happen to really enjoy from last year, do let me know that as well. I'm always interested in drama recommendations. That was it for this video. I'm sorry it's really long. I tried to make my blurbs shorter. That's why I took notes on my phone. And until next time, bye.